It's Mental Health Awareness Week on the Faces of Grand Prairie podcast. This week is a 3-part series highlighting groups and initiatives in the city of Grand Prairie that are currently addressing an area of mental health and counseling. We will discuss those looking to make a difference in the community and what you can do as a citizen to support these initiatives and get involved. Today, my guests are Crystal Gaither and Dena Petty with Mentors Care. Mentors Care is a 501c3 organization whose mission is to connect high school students who are at risk of not graduating with mentors, tools, and resources to help lead them towards graduation and purposeful, fulfilling lives. Mentors Care works with school districts that are historically underserved to enlist, train, and equip adult volunteer mentors who care about and believe in the kids they serve. Crystal and Dena discuss how Mentors Care came to be and how it works within each school. We discuss the success stories from the organization and how mentors are trained throughout the process, and how this differs from other mentorship programs and how it can greatly fill a need as students return back to school after the pandemic. Groups like this need you and other citizens who want to help students through this time, and this episode will encourage and inspire you to do just that. I will have links to Mentors Care on the episode details so you can learn more about how to get involved. And now, here's Crystal and Dena. Well, good morning, ladies. Thank you all so much for joining me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Y'all both look so beautiful. What a great room that is.
Oh, thank you. It actually matches Mentors Care. Our logo has this color green. So it was my daughter's room before. It was my daughter's room before, and I just thought, oh, what a perfect room. So
oh, that's amazing. And for those of y'all that are listening on the podcast and not watching the video, y'all should go to the video and look, because you can see just this bright pop of bright green, not bright green, but just, a fun green. So, but I'm so glad. I'm so glad that y'all could join me today. And, for those that are out there, I'll kind of explain how I came to know y'all, and then y'all can kind of tell me why y'all are here. But at Grand Prairie Rotary a couple of weeks ago, you guys presented, Crystal, you presented your experience with Mentors Care, which is the organization that y'all work for, and you gave a little bit of your testimony and some testimonies of people that work with your organization. And I just thought it was so amazing that I was like, please come on and talk about this, because I feel like the citizens of Grand Prairie, there's a lot of valuable things that you're offering and some things that you're bringing to the attention of people that might not know if they don't have children in school. So, go ahead and tell me, I don't know who wants to go, maybe Crystal, if you want to kind of explain a little bit about what Mentors Care is and what y'all do.
Well, I'll let Dena go, actually. She's our founder, and I'll let her kind of explain.
Okay,
Yeah. Well, I started this 12 years ago at Midlothian High School, actually in a little broom closet. It was a book drop room in a library. Very humble beginnings. But the whole reason that this happened is basically I was an at-risk kid myself. I had a mother not emotionally well. My father was very abusive. They wound up divorced. And then when that happened, the family just kind of obliterated. And I wound up homeless, living in my car. I've known hunger. I know what it means to kind of feel, as a kiddo, please just ignore me. Let me just melt away. I just want to disappear. And so in school, I was not a good student. Parents never checked report cards. They never asked how I was doing in school. And so it was a very hard childhood. Everybody has a story. I know that. And everybody's unique. But there is a population of children across the world, but right here in our own backyard as well, that are really struggling. And so if you have a student who is acting out their risky behaviors, they're not participating in school, hardly showing up, or they're the kiddo that's very angry in school, get into fights, there's usually a reason why. And what I love about Mentors Care is we partner with schools and we say, help us identify who are the students who are considered at risk of not graduating, who have some of these behaviors. Let us get to know them. We interview them. then we go out into the community and we find loving adults from every community that we serve that are saying, yes, I can give 1 hour once a week and meet with a student. It's very intentional. It's very organized. We have curriculum, and they're going to meet for that 1 hour once a week. And so I started this 12 years ago because that's my heart. There are so many other kids that were like me that really just need somebody to just notice them, get to know them, find out why they're struggling so much. And every person has unique talents, gifts. They all have a story. They all have a hope and a dream, and they just need somebody to believe in them. But I do want to say, not all students who are in our program don't have support at home. I would say about 10 to 15% of our kids do have really good support at home. They're just making bad decisions, and we just need another loving adult to come alongside and mentor them. But I would say, gosh, probably 85, 90% of our kids, little to no support at home. Things have gone on at home, very varied, and so they're lost, and they need us. And the schools are saying, please come help us. We need help because, I'm talking too long, but they have they have so many mandates that are given to the schools to address these issues that the kids are struggling with. Instead of just educating the reading, writing, and arithmetic, they're having to do so many other things. So they're saying, please come help us. And it seems like this burden is becoming more and more and more. So we're excited about the opportunity to serve these communities, especially Grand Prairie. We're excited to be there. And Crystal's going to be your person there at Advantage Academy. And we're excited about her being there.
So currently we're at the Advantage Academy campus in Grand Prairie East. And if another opportunity ever arises in Grand Prairie, we're open to that as well.
But y'all are in ISDs and you're in charter schools. So right now, and you work with any school that is looking for help. And, I would imagine that even in some of maybe the smaller districts or the smaller charters that don't have an extensive counseling network within the because ISDs have pretty extensive, but that's not to say that they can address all the issues. But y'all kind of fill in holes, so to speak, or maybe like help fill in the gaps. From what it sounded like to me at y'all's presentation, right? You kind of help the schools assist in those ways.
Well, a lot of schools will have the school counselors, but they'll have sometimes between 400 to 500 kids in their caseload. And they're dealing more with the academic issues of counseling. And they would love to be able to do more one-on-one with students, but they're just limited on their time. And so that's what we do is we partner with them. So we'll have a caseload of averaging around 50 to 60 students in our program, and 50 to 60 mentors come in to meet with those students. Well, out of those relationships, when they build that relationship of trust and the student starts talking and then you start finding out things, that's when you can have an outcry. That's when they are saying, this is going on at home. That's when we can partner with the school. We get with them. It's going to be the CPS calls or police or whatever to help get involved, to help that student, to get them the help that they need. And that's what we pray for. That's what we hope for, is that you can build that relationship where they can open up. And unfortunately, the schools, they're just too overloaded. There's just too many. And so, yes, we are that extra layer of help for the schools and for the staff.
Right. And y'all do this on campus. Like y'all have a presence on campus at every school, correct?
Yes, I'll have an office at the Advantage Academy campus, and the students have, they have accessibility. If they're having a rough day, if they're having like a panic attack at school and the teachers don't know what to do, they're like, this kid is crying uncontrollably. They have, if they're in our program, they have an opportunity just to be sent to the office, to close the door and just be and relax and be able to just get it out and explain. If they want to talk, they can talk. If they want to be quiet and silent and just close their eyes for a minute, and they can do that as well. So,
and what ages and what grades do y'all focus on?
So Advantage Academy is 8th grade through 12th grade. So our niche is high school. Not that they're not important to have these programs in elementary and junior high. It is super important. we just found that there's little to no support like ours in the high school level. They start and then kind of dwindle away. And I feel like we've created some kind of magic. I mean, it is just working. Not that we've, invented mentoring. We just found a way so that when the mentor comes, we are going to honor their time. We are going to make sure that they are matched up with that student. We're going to make sure the student's on campus, and we're rescheduling if the mentor can't be there. And we don't say just meet. We have a curriculum in front of them, grades to go over every week to hold them accountable, and they're going to go over those things. And, with the schools, we really try to let them know that when we're on campus, it is for a purpose and a reason. They don't just hang out in our office. It's only if there's an outcry, like there's something going on or there's a scheduled meeting. But that's why being on campus, Crystal's kind of the social worker on campus. She's going to make sure that they're going to have everything they need to be successful in school.
Right.
And through that relationship of meeting with the mentor, we'll find out they need school supplies, or they need food, or they need shoes, or they need something so that they can be, have what they need so they can be successful. So.
I asked that too, because, when you were talking, you were doing your presentation at the Rotary meeting the other day, I thought to myself, big brothers, big sisters. And and y'all don't go on sites. Y'all don't have, like, your mentors don't come up with social activities to do together. And so I think I was kind of thinking about that. I thought maybe people would kind of think the same comparison, but y'all really work with the school, and y'all are at the schools, and you're working to help them be successful in school. And you kind of talked about a little bit at the meeting, like, what are some of the questions and how are the mentors trained to help these kids? So maybe talk a little bit about that for a second.
So we have extensive training for the mentors. There's a lot of things you got to go over, HIPAA laws, making sure that confidentiality, what do you do about outcries? So when a mentor is trained, we're basically training them. It's all about relationship. It's about that friendship with that student. That's number one. And then we can handle all the rest. And they are trained to never, ever go to their home, vice versa. You don't meet for coffee outside of school. You only meet at the school where eyes can be on you at all times, because that is going to protect everybody across the board, the school, the student, the mentor, the program. And that's why Big Brother, Big Sister, it's a great program, but they do have to meet off campus. I mean, they're meeting at homes and things like that. It takes a long time background checks, sometimes a year to 2 years before matching a little, whereas we can get a caseload of 50. They're trained in the beginning of the year. They know what to do. You have a coordinator that's right there, so that if you do have that hard conversation, I don't know what to do with this because we've asked you to only be a friend, you bring that conversation to the coordinator and they can talk through it. And then we have a lot of resources within Mentors Care to find out what do we need. So not that we have all the answers, but we know how to network. We know how to go get the help that's needed. And and then in the middle of the year, in January, 1st of February, we will have a mentor community connection. And we're always trying to bring more information to the mentor to be more equipped every time that they meet with a student. For instance, this last year, it was on secondary trauma. That's a real thing for people that work with people of trauma, because when you hear these stories, it's almost like it shocks you and you're feeling everything that student is feeling. Sometimes you can have secondary trauma and you're starting to have symptoms like, I'm really down. What is going on? And so it was really great information of what to do with all the icky stuff in life that's going on with some of our kids, and all other areas too. We always invite administration, teachers, anybody that wants to come. We try to bring experts in and help us. So we're always trying to be better, bring excellence to the schools, to the students we're serving, and to the mentors, so that everybody is as prepared as they can be. So
I love that. And what I loved so much about, because we watched a video, it was really just mentors and mentees telling their stories about their experiences with the program. And what I loved about it, and I think that anybody that's listening that might think that this is something you're interested in doing, it can be very intimidating to just come up with things to talk about with a teenager that you don't know. But y'all have it is a structured program. And so if you're out there and you're thinking, this is too hard. I don't know what to talk about. I wouldn't know how to keep their attention or whatever. Y'all have questions. Y'all have a structure. And so it's really you just going through that together. And then over time, it kind of seems like it forms those relationships with the students. And so if you're interested in that, this is definitely something that you could do as an adult, especially if you don't have kids in the community and you're retired, or if you don't have anything going on like those, and you want to know, what are kids going through right now? What are some of the things that they're experiencing? But the other thing that struck me was how much the mentees seem to really appreciate it. And I think that we can assume sometimes that teenagers just don't care, that they don't want any adults asking them questions. And maybe they come off that way, but that's really not how they feel inside. So how have y'all seen the mentees and the students react to this?
Well, I'll speak and then you
Go
speak.
ahead. Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
What I have found over the years is that for a lot of people, this just becomes their thing. They absolutely love it. And it started out maybe realizing there is a problem. There's something going on with the kids out there, and they want to help. They want to do something, and they feel like really called, like, gosh, this is a lost generation. Like they've come across something. Well, this is very intentional so that you can, the schools are saying the doors are open, please come in. You get to meet with your student every week. And it's phenomenal what happens to a community. We actually had a community where I present to the school board every year on how we did and statistics and those kind of things. And the school board president said, I want to go on public record to say that hands down, this program changed our community. And I mean, it meant so much to me because he was talking about not just the students that are changed forever, that they're not only going to just graduate, they have a hope and a future. I mean, they're thinking about what they're going to do for the rest of their life, and that they really have a purpose. And you get to speak truth into that. But then also you have the mentors, the community coming into the schools, and they're going, wow, the schools really they have a challenge. This is really a lot these kids are dealing with. And so they're the schools are so thankful, and the mentors, it becomes their thing. So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
And how are the kids reacting to it?
Okay, so I'm still very fresh. I've been an employee for all of about a month. But
you have been in the office though.
I have. I trained longer than that. But the whole month of May, I dove in hard and fast into relationship with these kids, and to the point of where, like, the day after school, I was like, well, I'm sad. Is this normal? Is it normal to be grieving that I'm not at school today? Yeah. But no, I had this one little girl come up to me and just say, because of you, I look forward to coming to school. I'm at school because of you. Oh, and wow. You're the only reason I look forward to coming to school. And that is the paycheck, like knowing that there's a child that may not be coming to school and caring at all about her academics, but because we're there, she has this light in that school, at that campus, and just reason to keep on going and to have that hope, and and to have just a place to come and to be. And I love the lunch hour. That's my favorite. The lunch hour. I don't think she even told you about the lunch hour, but the kids have a chance to come in. We do have the mentoring program. It's 1 hour once a week, but they can come into my office and just be, and around lunch, they can eat and then come in and just relax and vent and share. And if they're mad, they can be mad. And if they're sad, they can be sad. And, we can just talk about whatever, boys, anything. So
yes, I'm going to talk about the snacks and the lunch in just a second, because that's another way that people can help. But so Crystal, tell a little bit about how you got involved with this organization.
Okay, so I guess I would identify myself as an at-risk high school student for sure. My senior year, I ran away from home and I had couch surf between friends. My high school principal found out and said, you're going to have to leave and go to a different school district if if you don't, you don't have a residency here in the school. And so they reached out to a really nice family in one of the churches in town, and they took me in. And so I ended up finishing my high school year in a fifth wheel trailer out behind someone's house. And so grades were slipping during that season. And, I just got into some stuff that I probably shouldn't have, and was partying way too much. And I know when I heard about this program, instantly I was reminded of the little girl I was, the teenage girl I was. And I thought, if there was a safety net for her, if someone was there that could have cared for me and like help stop the train wreck that I was on in life. And that's who I saw. And that's what I was like instantly reminded of. I thought, if I could be there just for one person and impact, just one child's life, then that's a way to kind of redeem everything I went through. So I found I was actually involved in the nonprofit world, and she came and spoke at one of the events I was at, and I was instantly like drawn to her, and became friends with one of her mentor coordinators at Midlothian High School. And they invited me to be a mentor. And I thought, yes, absolutely. I can't imagine a more perfect thing for me to be doing with my life. I would love to mentor. And so I had been mentoring for a couple of years and fallen in love with it. And when this opportunity came up, I absolutely had like no questions. Yes, I'll do it. So
it's so interesting. And I think that as a parent, and what I'm hearing a lot of is parents just don't know the questions to ask to get answers to how their kids are feeling. And it's more so than anything else. And that is something that I think parents are struggling with, is when a teenager becomes a teenager, how do you have the ability to ask them the questions without assuming that they're just going to turn you down and just assuming that they're not going to want to talk about it. And I think what's unique about both of y'all's stories is that you actually go back and think to yourself about the child that you were and how you would have wanted someone to talk to you. And it kind of takes that barrier down of, I don't have to worry that they might not want to talk to me. I'm going to ask them the questions anyways. And so I think that what I love about this is you're almost helping parents, even if they're not even if they have support at home, you're almost helping parents to ask those questions, or to identify for them, or to help them see like what your kids are actually feeling. There seems to be that disconnect, in my opinion, like right now there's a level of not understanding what kids are actually experiencing either online or at school. And the pandemic, to its credit, might maybe help people see that a little bit more with having virtual classrooms and things like that. But I mean, do you find that kids are receptive to talking with adults? And
to that, because you're bringing up a great point. And as a parent, and I've raised 2 adults now, and so my own experience, and just working, I was a youth pastor for years, and then started this 12 years ago.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
But you were in youth ministry. Okay, I get it.
And so parents need to understand it is developmentally a teenager's job to start thinking outside of the home. And it is a type of rebellion, but it can be a healthy rebellion. Well, if you think back to, long time ago, when you had small communities and you had teenagers growing up in these communities, when it was developmentally their job to start thinking outside of home, not that I'm totally rejecting what my parents taught me, I need to go find out if that's what I believe. And so they would have this circle of community around them with same moral compass, values, and everything as the family, to see what other people think, to talk with them about how they approach life. And then they can own their own ideas, which is going to go back to what the parents are teaching them. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening now, because we don't have community as well as we used to, we're a little disconnected. We have families breaking apart. What we have is teenagers rebelling in an unhealthy way. And they're looking to their peers and other things for answers and connection. And that's where you get into dangerous parts of life, where they are getting some bad advice and bad ideas. And that's where the kids get lost. So when a student is referred to us, to our program, a lot of people say, they really say yes, almost 100%. Because they're all wanting somebody to talk to, and they want somebody older to talk to. We have a lot of people that are retired and they think, I'm too old, I'm never gonna. The kids love them, especially the ones who do not have the elderly people in their family. They don't have that connection. They fall in love with one another. They love it. And they love hearing their stories. It's a great thing. They need that. So teenagers rebel because it is part of their development. They've got to discover who they are and what they think. And in parenting, what happens when you have the disconnect is when you have a parent that has a hard time with a student changing from adult-child relationship to adult-adult relationship. It's a progression. And so when they push, that's part of what they're supposed to do. So when they push, you allow them a little bit of those boundaries to expand a little bit at a time. And so what's happening with these kids who are really at risk, the ones who have little to no support at home, those boundaries went way out, and then they've gotten lost and they've gotten in trouble. And so that's what mentoring is very intentional about saying, this is what we're supposed to do in society anyway, is all coming alongside these kids to help them develop. It's just being very intentional. It's very natural. I didn't invent mentoring. It's just that we've been able to figure out a way to make it work. And so we have every year a caseload of 50. We never get over 60 with our coordinators. It gets to be too much because they're dealing with so many issues with these kids. Excuse me, and also organizing the scheduling of the mentors and the students. But every year we have a full caseload of students, of mentors that come back because it's such a natural progression. It's a natural thing. And because the doors of the schools are open, what a perfect place to go, because they're the ones that are seeing. So if you are in a community and you're like, we live in a really nice community in Midlothian. When I started this 12 years ago, they said, we don't have any problems with kids. And the teachers are going, yes, we do. Well, these kids need this program, but it's because we don't go to church together. We don't see them shopping. This is whole little pockets of communities we don't know. Well, it's intentionally bringing people together as a community as a whole, which is great. And it's saying, I care about you. I just don't know you. So it's intentionally getting to know them, to be a part of their life.
I love what you're saying so much, because I've been noticing the same thing. It's let's get really local with our communities and figure out what we can do to help these kids be more confident in who they are and what they believe. And plus kids do want to be a part of their community. They do. They are looking for people to ask them what they feel, what they think, how they want to, how they can be a part. And so I would imagine that y'all probably have kids that go through the program and then maybe end up working within the program or some type of other organization, because they see that parents or that adults invested in them and that they want to invest in others. I mean, y'all are both examples of having that desire as a child, to kind of incorporate them into the community. And how can you be a helper in the community? And I do think that there was a time when that was very important. And you're bringing up a lot of things that are giving me things to think about, because we did have smaller pockets of communities. You did have coaches and teachers and, pastors and all these people that were looking out for all these kids, and that you got exposed to different types of personalities, different types of authority figures. And now what it seems like is that is shifted to the internet, where they're seeing people on the internet that have nothing to do with their interests, that have nothing to do with what's going on in their local areas or how they were raised. But the people on the internet and all these, influencers and all this stuff, and it becomes very nefarious, are more interested in their own concerns, their own agendas, not the child's, pathway. And this really gives an opportunity for the child's best interest and the student's best interest to be considered. And that is what we need that so desperately for these kids. And I think that you're also touching on a good point, that you can assume, because you live in a nice area, you live in a nice community, that you live in an area where everybody thinks the same way as you, that you don't have these problems that exist, which is a fallacy. And I think it gives us a very false sense of security, and it gives us a naive attitude that keeps us from seeing that there are issues there. And so I love that this is, y'all done this. I just love that. You mentioned that you're in Midlothian. Where else are y'all at? What other cities are y'all in?
So we are going to be in 8 schools next year, 8 high schools. We're in the 2 Midlothian high schools, Maypearl, Palmer, Ferris, Red Oak, Advantage Academy, and now we're going to be at Wiley High School in the Abilene area. We're moving into a whole nother region, which we're very excited. Our vision and our goal is to continue growing because this program is working. It is working. And I was actually able to present in legislation in the Capitol in Austin about this issue right here, that there needs to be more funding available to the schools for this program. It needs to be in every school. That's how I feel, because I would have given anything to have had this program when I was in school. And I think you would say the same thing. And we've just had so many testimonials of stories of lives changed forever. Every one of our students are in our program because they were considered at risk of not graduating. The last 3 years, we've graduated 100% of seniors. If we've had them for 2 years, we're graduating 100%. And we have pathways. We know what they're doing after high school. And we're so excited about that, that we're not just saying, okay, just graduate and we check off that box. No, we're invested in their lives. We want to know that they're doing okay. I want to share, I presented at a school district, I guess it was about 2 months ago. And a mom came up to me after the school board meeting and she said, I know who you are. And I said, oh, she said, my son was in your program. And she's a very involved mother, loves her son. I mean, she's a good mother. She came up to me and she said, my son was going to kill himself. He had written a note. He even said the road that he was going to jump off the bridge and when he was going to do it. Somebody found it, was able to intervene, and he was recommended to your program. He got a mentor. All of a sudden, all of his grades went up to A's and B's when he was failing everything, hardly showing up to school, extremely depressed. He's doing amazing now. He's graduated and is doing amazing. She said, your program changed my son's life. It saved his life. And that's the kind of thing I hear all the time. But it's because it's the one-on-one individual meeting. You matter this much. Yeah. I'm going to meet with you for 1 hour once a week because I care about you and I don't get anything for it. These mentors are all volunteers. How powerful of a message is that you matter that much, that we're going to meet with you? We have so many people in our communities that are willing to give that 1 hour. We have so many kids in the schools that are dying for somebody to meet with them. They're lost for so many different reasons. And you mentioned COVID. We've had so much depression, so much because of that. The kids, because they don't have community. They were so isolated. And a lot of those kids who were at home, these were not good situations being at home. School was their place of safety and they lost that. And so we're dealing with a lot of those issues as well. We need this in every community across the United States. And it's our goal. We're going to keep going as long as we can, as long as the doors are open and we have the energy. Yeah.
Well, and I told you I was going to go back to, there's something else that y'all do. You kind of mentioned the snacks and the lunch. So talk about that a little bit as part of your program.
So years ago, the whole reason I started snacks is that I started noticing that kids were doing really well the first 3 periods of school, and then they plummeted. And after getting to know the students, I realized they weren't eating. Well, you have the free or reduced lunches. What was the problem? Well, come to find out, kids were parents were illegals and they didn't want to get on a radar and wouldn't fill out the forms. We have a lot of parents that won't fill them out because they really just don't care and they're not going to send it in. Or they make just enough that they can't get the free or reduced. So they just let the kids kind of fend for themselves. We've seen that a lot. I've had a student come back to me. I didn't realize all this was going on. She just would not open up. We only had her a couple of years, but she and her father were living in their car. And the dad would leave. He was a truck driver. He would leave her for 2 or 3 days. And the only food she had was snacks that she was bringing home from my office. I had no idea. If I had known, we could have done more. But anyway, I found that out later. She did graduate and she's doing amazing now, but very, very tough life. But so we offer the snacks, 2 snacks a day at all of our schools, if they allow us to give out the snacks. But then we also allow for extra food to go home with them, which is going to be Advantage Academy. If we have students that we find out are, they just need something after school, food, it's amazing how, as easy as food is, there's so many kids that don't have food. That's easy. All of us have too much food. And so I just remember being hungry I remember having a can of tuna fish that was going to last me a couple of days. And I was like, how am I going to do this? That's an easy fix. I mean, a lot of us have so much, and these kids, and plus another way for us to connect with the kids, they'll come by and grab their snack, and they'll come by. We'll just check in. How's it going today? I'm doing good. It's a good way for our coordinators to check in with them. They can't hang out in our office, but they'll come by in between classes or during lunch. And that's what you loved, was the lunchtime.
Lunchtime's my favorite. They can come in, and then we've almost formed like this little lunch club. And that's where the girls, sometimes if they want real talk, they'll close the door and they'll just be like, Miss, I got to talk to you about something. And sometimes it'll go real deep. We actually had this, we've had conversations as petty as, my boyfriend, and, he broke up with me, and we've been back and forth again, those boyfriend conversations. And it'll go as deep as discovering that, someone had been raped, or someone had, been abused at home, and we got to address that, but those lunchtimes, those conversations they're kind of my favorite. But as far as the food goes, at my specific school, we can give our snacks at the end of the day. And I've found that they love taking home like macaroni and cheese and cups of noodles, so they can have food after school. So I keep little bags of stuff to give them at the end of the day. If they come by my office, they know they can bring home food.
I had a student one year that was just taking things out of my office. And I noticed that behind his back, he was taking pencils, he was taking food, he was taking this and this. And I had found out that it was a very impoverished situation. And I pulled him aside and I said, hey, I just want you to know, as long as we know one another, you're not going to be hungry. And I'm going to try to get you what you need for school. You don't need to take anything. And he just cried. He said, thank you, and then it was done. Like he was afraid he was not going to have something. And that's what I've done with a lot of foster care kids that have come out of foster, out of a bad situation. They hang on to food under their bed, or they hang on to food, while they're sleeping, because they never know where that next thing's coming. And so just knowing that they have that extra little layer of, you're going to be fine. As long as we know one another, we're going to be fine. We're going to get through it.
What I loved is that the phrase food insecurity started coming into our vernacular, because you don't really, if you don't have to worry about that, you don't know what that feels like. And so it's like, and plus, I don't know that we really know exactly how prevalent it is, even for kids. Like you kind of mentioned, parents just might not fill out the form. It's not so much that they don't qualify. It's that they just don't even fill it out, don't know to fill it out. And we assume that parents just know what they're supposed to do all the time. Like they just know all the systems that are in place that can help them. And that is not true. I had a friend of mine who her job was literally to go in and teach parents how to wash dishes, how to do laundry. You just assume that parents were taught that as kids and that they know how to take care of their own children. But that's not always the case. And even just filling out those forms to help them have free lunch at school, there might even be parents that don't even know that is even offered. You see it, it's everywhere, but just having that ability to address that need, and so the kids feel less insecure about where their next meal is coming from. I mean, that's huge. But is this something that y'all take donations for? Like, can people donate snacks and all those things?
So yes, we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. We have a website, mentors.care, and you can give. You can give either Amazon Smile, you can sign up for that, or you can donate directly to your school the snacks that you want to give, or you can give online giving monetarily, which, we do need that support. We do contract with the schools, but it's not enough to support the program. So we're always fundraising. We're always looking for grants, foundations, and things so that we can continue growing and sustaining the schools we serve. So yes, there's a lot of different ways that they can give. And we do need that support, but we also need great mentors.
Mm-hmm.
That's our resource right there. We need people to say, yes, we will equip you. We will train you. You have your talking points. You have your grades to go over. You're going to have a coordinator on campus that's going to be there waiting on you with a smile to say, thank you. Here you go. Here's your folder. Students on the way, or maybe the students right there waiting on you. And when you brought up parents don't know how to do, the whole reason I wrote the curriculum for Mentors Care was based upon my life. I did not know how to show up. I missed as many days as I could of school. I didn't think anybody cared that I was ever anywhere anyway. It wasn't until I was an adult that I realized when you make an appointment, you should be there. I mean, that was something I had to learn. Or how to study. I never knew how to study. So that's one of the talking points. What kind of learner are you and how do you study? Those were hard, not lessons I had to learn because I was. So with our kids, all of our kids, if you have good support at home, you're going to be teaching them or reiterating what they're learning at home. You're just partnering with that parent. Mm-hmm. But for the 85 to 90% of our kids who have little to no support at home, it may be the first time they're hearing these things. Like, why should you respect somebody? Respect is a big deal. Kids feel like, well, I kept hearing this all the time. I'm only going to respect somebody if they respect me first. That's a flawed philosophy. I mean, our whole world is falling apart because of that philosophy. You're going to respect authority over you. You don't have to like them. You don't even have to agree with it. And you can learn how to debate and discuss and counterpoint somebody with respect. They just don't know that. And honestly, some of that they're being taught to by their parent or guardian, bad lessons. So for a lot of these kids, this is going to be the first time they're hearing these things. So the talking points are going to go from why it's important to be in school, why you need to graduate, why you need this education, to what does it take to be a successful person, giving 120% when no one's looking, those kind of things. And then what are your gifts and talents? What do you see yourself doing in the future? And we believe in you that you can have a future. And so it's very guided, it's very organized, and it's very intentional.
That's one of my favorite parts, is teaching them that they can see past high school now into the future, that we get to target goal setting over 5 and 10 years from now. Their little pea-sized, 15-year-old, 16-year-old brain isn't normally thinking about anything but what's in front of their face. And for them to be thinking in front and seeing their eyes just open and thinking, oh, wow, this is a plan. We're working out plans, life plans for them. And one of the students I've been working and journeying with at my school, her goal was just not to end up like her parents. She's like, I just don't want to end up like my mom. My dad's incarcerated. My mom's been incarcerated and been on drugs and isn't present, checked out all the time, abusive. And I just don't want to end up like my parents. And so we're working with her to get a game plan for how she can, get to college and get a career. So she wants to be a prevention officer.
That's so wonderful. And one of the things that I think I asked a question one day on Facebook, and I just said, what do you think is, what is advice that you would give teenagers today? And somebody said, feelings are fleeting. Teaching them that feelings come and go. So how you feel today is not how you're going to feel tomorrow. There's going to be differences, and that your feelings are not permanent and that they can be changed. And I thought, what a great idea, because it just that attitude is, there is going to be a tomorrow, and there is going to be things that you're going to experience tomorrow that are going to make you feel different than you do feel today. And I think that what y'all are doing is teaching, that is part of this, is teaching that there is more to the life than just what you're experiencing today. There's actually a story that you told, I think, Dena, about a young man that was approached by gangs and that wanted him to, I can't remember exactly, wanted him to traffic drugs, I believe. And he was approached about that. And he was able to create a barrier or a strength that said, I don't want to do this because this is going to lead to really bad consequences. And what a great lesson to teach kids, that the decisions you make today will matter tomorrow. And you don't.
And the reason it's high school, this is triage. Which way are you going? You know, it is so important in elementary school and junior high, and I get that. Those are so important, those programs. Our niche is high school, and that's where the talking points are geared, because which way are you going? I mean, what a pivotal time to come into their life. We're not saying we can fix all the problems that have been in the past. All we can say is that we believe in you, that you can overcome these things, and this is where you can go. This is an opportunity for you. But yeah, that young man, I mean, that's such an incredible story, because they were putting so much money in front of him and saying, just go drop off this car. I mean, the first one was going to be, I think it was $4,000 or $5,000. The next time it was $12,000. And he was seriously going to do it. Think about the trajectory of his life if he had done that. Now he's married and he has 2 young sons, one on the way. And he's doing amazing, has an amazing job working on BMWs, has a great living. He and his wife are having the time of their life. And I remember telling him that, because he said he was in love with this girl that he married. And I said, you want to be a husband and a father? If you go down that road, that's never going to happen for you. You're always going to be looking over your shoulder. Your life is going to be over. For that little bit of money that you think is so much right now, all the rest of your future is going to be thrown away for this little moment. How amazing it was that his mentor and I were able to speak truth into his life at that moment. If this program was not there, how that would have changed everything. It would have changed everything. And then all the other lives that he's impacted ever since, because he's been able to share his story. So
it's when I think about y'all going back and talking about asking them questions that they've never been asked before, it's creating, what you're doing is you're asking kids, where is your line? Where are you going to draw that line for yourself? That's going to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead. When nobody ever asks kids those questions, they have no idea where their lines or boundaries even exist. It's like, and they're so much more susceptible to nefarious influences and things that might come along to take advantage of them. And so I love the idea of, kind of outsourcing to a community that has a different perspective maybe, or that comes from a different age of wisdom, that asks these kids questions. One other thing I wanted to ask y'all too, not one other thing, but another thing I was thinking about, when the mentors were given some of their stories in the video that we watched, one of them said something to the effect of, if I'm asking these kids questions, I have to also ask myself the same kinds of questions. If I'm expecting them to consider their life choices, then it also makes me kind of do that. So all it says to me is the mentors learn just as much as the kids do. So maybe talk about some of their experiences that you've heard from them.
As a mentor, you can speak to that.
Yeah, as a mentor, I can say that you grow right along with these kids, because you're very introspective. You're looking at your own life, because as you're asking them these character-based questions and these goal-based questions, you're also reflecting, and it gives us also opportunity for me to say, this is my plan and these are my goals. Now share with me, tell me what yours are, because it is a conversational based setting where, we can share as much as mentors as we want with these kids. And I believe strongly in them, and their growth based on, our experience and our story too. I feel like the more we're willing to share, the more transparent and authentic we are willing to be, the more they open up themselves, So I don't know. I feel like
I think that, creating an environment where kids can ask adults how they feel about things, because as parents, you think it's not my job to tell my experience. It's my job to tell these kids how they need to live. And it's not always a conducive, even in healthy relationships or, where the parents are involved, it's not always a relationship that lends itself well to the kids being able to question things and have an adult give them the truth about how they experience life. And so for them to be able to, my daughter, when we went through, her dad and I went through the divorce, I found Children First, and we were able to use their counseling program to talk about feelings. So my daughter's very used to asking me about my feelings and used to asking me about my experiences. And I'm very honest with her, but I realize that that's pretty unique to have a relationship with an adult in that way. But she'll ask me, were you bad at math? Were you bad at sports? Were you, did you experience this? Did you like, and so I'm able to go, oh yes, I struggle with math and this is how I chose to handle it. I wish I'd have done this differently, or, maybe I made good choices and she can learn from those. But it sounds like this is a lot of what that's like, is those kind of exchanges.
And it's okay to not be perfect. I mean,
Right.
I think that's valuable as well. And also to say, man, I don't know, let's think through this together, and that's valuing and it's helping them learn to think through and critical thinking, which is really hard for kids to, at school, the teacher's job is to keep them between the ditches. They have to tell them what to do. And we support that, you have to. But with our program at this school, it's like, but let's think through that. Was it really right for you to get so angry at the teacher that you yelled at the teacher? Let's think about this. Was that really the correct way? You want to be treated as an adult. Do adults go around screaming at people to get what they want?
This is more like coaching as opposed to preaching at them.
Yeah. Coaching. That's good. Yeah.
Did you have any, and maybe for those, and I'm speaking to the ones out there that are going, oh, I could do this, but maybe I'm just not, I wouldn't be good. Did you have anybody that was kind of skeptical, but eager at first, but maybe kind of overcame some of that, as an adult?
I could think of one, and it's really an interesting story. She's actually become one of our longest running mentors. So we started 12 years ago. I think she's been with us 10 years. We've had a few that's been with us all 12 years. But she came to me and she said, I want to give back. I want to do, but I'm not a good mentor. I don't need to be doing that. But I used to be a teacher. I would love to teach a child to read, as if that ever comes up. Well, lo and behold, the very next week,
Of course,
I have the school come to me and say, look, this kiddo, he does great, but he has he's a good kid. He never gets in trouble, but he can't retain. And he has a hard time reading because he can't retain. Do you have anybody that would be an expert in teaching somebody how to read? And I went, wow, yes, I do. And so I called her, and she wound up mentoring him. And it just became an incredible relationship. Well, come to find out, this poor kiddo's mother was a prostitute. We did not know that. And he was living in a really bad situation. We were able to get him a lot of resources. He graduated. He's doing amazing, has a good job. Reading is always difficult for him, but he was able to find a manufacturing job, which is a really good job for him. And he's very happy. He has his own place. They still have a relationship where she keeps up like a mama. How are you doing? You cleaning your apartment and all that. It's really sweet. Now she has had 4 or 5 mentors ever since. She was really nervous about it. So what I've heard from people is that have been involved in other types of programs like this. This is so organized. I feel very supported, that it's kind of done for you. Really what you're doing is showing up. And the biggest message, getting back to coaching them or teaching them or having all the right things to say. The biggest message is that you're showing up. Showing up and being a friend to that kiddo and listening to them. That's the message.
It's the ministry of presence.
It is. It is.
Oh, what a great thing to say. Ministry of presence.
It's powerful that I am putting aside my whole life for you. The 30-minute drive there, the hour I'm sitting with you, the 30-minute back once a week. What a powerful message. And I've had so many kids when I would interview them, they would say, why do they do this? Are they paid? No, but it blows their mind because most of the kids that are in our program have never experienced unconditional love. It's very conditional. So when somebody gives unconditionally, they don't get it. It takes a while.
Or trust it.
And what a powerful thing to change their life history to where they can give unconditionally to another person because it's been modeled for them.
God, that's just so amazing. And there's just so many things that I think people take for granted, that everyone has this experience, or that, very few people, know what it's like to not experience unconditional love. But it's really a lot of people or a lot of kids that have this experience, and that mentors are able to see that. And I also think that it would give mentors a very different perspective on the world around them. I would imagine, that's just my assumption, the more that you give, the more you want to give. It's like you do this and then you just want to keep doing more. And I've had that experience with this podcast. It started off as like a hobby. I just was like, I talk to a lot of people, I'll just record it. And then all of a sudden I start being involved, and then I come in contact with people like you guys. And I'm like, people need to hear this. Okay. Well, now I want to spend my time talking to these people who are giving all their, so it's like giving just promotes more giving, and it'll promote the giving in the kids when they become adults. And so we've lost sight of that somehow, but I'm glad that people are seeing it again.
It's getting back to the roots of community is all it is.
Yes.
An intentional way to get back to what we were supposed to do all along.
Yes. So I guess go ahead and tell, and we'll do this two ways. Tell how if an ISD or school wants to contact you guys to create a partnership, how would they do that? And then if people out there are listening and want to help by becoming a mentor or supporting you guys, how would they start that process?
So everything's on the website, how to get in touch with us, and you'll be able to maneuver on the website to find out a little bit more about us. So if a school is interested, please reach out to me. It's info@mentors.care. That'll come straight to me, and we would love to talk with you. As far as giving, we do have a tab, to donate, to give, how to become a mentor. That's another way. If you're interested in being a mentor, you can just send info@mentors.care. Let us know what school district you're interested in serving, and we can get you connected to the coordinator. The coordinator will get the ball rolling. They'll send you an application, super easy, and there'll be a background check and references, and then a training, and then we'll get you going. It's super easy, but that application starts the whole process.
Okay. And so we're starting a new school year. All kids are going to be in person this year for the state of Texas, at least. That's what they say. Yes. So there's an opportunity for a tremendous opportunity for a need for a lot of people to help. This is something that schools just cannot do. I know it's something that schools are thinking about right now. It's something that federal money and getting some of these COVID relief funds, it's tied to creating more opportunities for counseling for kids that are going through all this stuff and have gone through COVID. So this is going to be an intentional thing that I think a lot of schools are going to be thinking about. And so they'll need people from the community and volunteers to help with that goal. So if you're listening and there's even a glimmer of an idea that you might think that this would be a good thing, go ahead and reach out and take that step to actually take that action and figure out what you can do to fit in, because they need you. Our kids really do need us. They do.
They do. The need is great. We always have a list of students waiting to get in the program, almost 100% at every school. So we try to take the worst cases first. We know that they need somebody right now. It's very critical. And then we move up, but then we also really work very hard on the matching of the mentor and the student, matching of the time, the day. And then also likes, we put women with the young girls and men with the boys. And we try to, the day doesn't matter. You just tell us what day you're available. The time of day, we have to pull them out of a non-core class. And so we have to work it out. If you can meet in the morning and, we'll figure out a time, or if it's
I'm glad you said that, because that's, we talked about it being at the school, but we didn't talk about when it happens. It occurs during school hours.
An elective during school hours. Yes.
Okay. So that would, if you're going to volunteer and be a mentor, it would be during the day.
Yes. And just let everybody know. I know a lot of people say, well, I could go before work. It just doesn't work, because we're working with teenagers that are still trying to learn how to show up. And so when we have them at school, we got them captured. And so they're going to remember. And I tried to have mentors, meet after school before a long time ago, and the kids would see a boyfriend or a girlfriend and they're gone, and they just, or they forget, because even though we meet during the school day, we send a note the period before, don't forget. They'll put it in their back pocket and they'll still walk to class. So we got to call the teacher. Hey, send them down.
So this is not a mandated program for students. They're all voluntary. Like they're asked, and then they have to agree or disagree.
They're referred to by the administration, the teachers,
school nurse,
anybody that works with the district. We cannot recruit students, but we get referrals, and then we do an interview process to see if they're a good candidate for the program, and that's determined by the coordinator. All of this is voluntary. The student, and then a permission form goes home to parent or guardian that they can be in the program, endorsed by the principal, and then the mentors are all voluntary as well.
We'll even have students that'll walk a friend in and say, hey, my friend needs to be in your program. And I'm like, okay, they got to get referred first.
Yeah.
But
that's amazing. I really appreciate that you saw a need, and, that you took it upon yourself to start this, and that you know, Crystal, that you came in and are helping. And you know, I just loved what y'all had to say. I just thought it was such a great program, and I'm glad that we can spread that, and that y'all are now in Grand Prairie. Because this Advantage Academy is new as of this year, or is it new as of last year?
We are new as of this past year.
Okay.
Last 2021 school year. Advantage Academies, I'm not sure how long they've been here. I don't believe they're very new.
I think since 80s, I think.
Yeah, they've been here for a while, but y'all are new to the city of Grand Prairie in terms of schools.
Yeah, and we started it during a pandemic, and that was hard.
It's always fun.
So we need more mentors. We need more great people.
Yes.
So.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank y'all so much, ladies, for talking to me. I really appreciate it. And I will put all of the links and everything that you said, your email address, all that good stuff on the notes for the episode. And yeah, so I just thank y'all so much. And I hope we get a lot of people sent over to you guys.
50. I need 50.
50.
Yes.
Not a big ask.
We have a goal. We have a goal.
Much. This was great. You're a great interviewer. Thank you so much.
Seriously, thank you, Jenna.
My pleasure. Well, you know, I talk about this is it's such a weird thing that I know how to do. I know how to talk to people and ask good questions. And I have a whole episode that I talked about, why did I start this? What do I want to do? And I'm just like, is it weird that like my gift is just talking?
No.
But it's just, you can use all those gifts and those talents and everything for so many different ways. And I love that there's a venue, you know, and a place for it now on the internet. This is what the internet's good for, is stuff like this.
There are some good things.
Yeah.
There are some good things.
just a few good things. But yeah, so, well, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a great afternoon, and I appreciate it.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.